Hello, you're listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized, a podcast that focuses on helping you create space to attract more money, love, and happiness in your life. I am your host, Janet M. Taylor. I want to say hello if you're a regular listener, and welcome if you're listening for the very first time. I hope you are having a great week. And if you enjoy listening to this podcast, please leave a review so I can continue bringing you episodes each week. And someone commented, great show. Simple, helpful, and realistic tips to help me feel more in control. So needed. And that was from somebody who left a comment on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. Well, in this episode, Nonnahs Driskill of Get Organized Already will be sharing strategies and systems for the men, but also we can all use them because, of course, June is focused on the men and the men in our lives. And, of course, we will be sharing my product, app, repurpose, and book suggestion for this week. And my question for you this week is, what has the man in your life lost lately? What has he lost lately? Or what have you lost lately? And I went out there on the internet and I asked the question, why do people lose their keys? And of course, I kind of knew the answer to this, but I just wanted to let you know what came up. We don't have a specific spot where we can place them at home. So remember that when you lose things, it's because you don't have a specific spot for something. But, which is why I bought Nonnahs Driskill. She is the founder of Get Organized Already, a friendly professional organizing team serving Pasadena, California since 2010. Nonnahs is a freelance writer for apartment therapy and strives to help herself and others accept and love our different strengths. So get your pen, your paper, your tablet out and listen to some strategies that she shares during our conversation. Well, listeners, as we continue to help the men in our lives be organized, I have another fellow organizer, and it's Nonnahs Driskill. And she is going to just be kind of sharing with us how those little things like the keys, we can create systems, and hopefully the men in our lives can find them the first time they look. So, Nonnahs, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Janet. I really appreciate it.
So my first question before we get into the strategies is, what made you become a professional organizer?
I'm sure you've heard about like every iteration of this answer because you've interviewed so many organizers. So I'm going to just keep it short. It just came easy to me. I love people. I love figuring out like how to help them. And I'm curious about what's working for them. And so I just always want to be with people. And a friend of mine that was a bit really messy, let's face it, she was really messy, just said, I was helping her and she's like, this is a job, you should do this. And that's it.
And that's how it always starts. I mean, people in my office could find the stapler, and it finally clicked to me like, wow, everybody's always looking for the stapler. Am I the only one? So that's how I got started. So with the men in our lives, and one of the issues, you talked about previously on blogs and other interviews is the keys. So what is it about the keys and all those other little objects that seem to be so challenging for the men in our lives, fathers, grandfathers, mentors, partners, to find?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to start out by saying is like, I know this is a stereotype and I don't want to offend anybody because I help a lot of women too who have trouble finding their keys. And I know you know that. I just want to say that so people know I'm not picking on them too bad. And I was thinking about this question because people ask me all the time. And I really don't know. Maybe it's something biological, like because we like pretty things and we can find the little things. But so many women, right? This is a stereotype for a reason. So many women say, where's that Where's my pen? Oh, it's right under the checkbook on the table. We know right where it is. But men seem to have a little harder time. So I don't know why, Janet. I'm sorry, but I don't know why.
Well, you're right. It's like we sometimes are very visual. Even
Yeah.
if we have things scattered about, we can kind of visualize, oh, yeah, I remember where I put that.
Hmm.
Whereas, sometimes men and women too, they can drop things, but they never really remember where.
Yeah.
So that could be it too. So, what
Yeah.
are some of the strategies that you share with your clients, men and
Hmm.
women, on how, like, maybe to find the keys or just like those items that sometimes we just kind of get lost?
Right. Well, the first things are pretty obvious, and you can find these, anywhere you look, you're going to see all kinds of articles about this. Put them in the same place every time, everything gets a home, like that. Another trick that maybe people have heard, but I need a reminder maybe, is that if you find someone in your house, your husband, your partner, your kids, are leaving something in the same place every time, and it's not where you want it to be, maybe you can be a little flexible, talk to them about it and say, okay, maybe do we need to move the key dish to the kitchen counter? Because that's where the keys are always ending up. There's not a set rule for everybody's house. So maybe you can be a little creative like that. And then the other thing is, I think in all of these situations, if something is really frustrating you that someone else is doing, the issue isn't the keys. The issue is feeling respected and communicating with your housemates. So I think that's really important. And so often we read articles about organizing and stuff, and it's just like, do X, Y, and Z, and your life will be perfect just like mine. And I'm not trying to tell anybody that, because people are so different. And I just think it's really important to talk about it and come to a solution together, maybe.
And I
But
understand that because I remember a woman that's pre-code, we were still networking and things, and she came up to
yep,
me. She said, "You know what? My husband, he needs to change. He needs to get organized." And I said, "So
right.
what are the issues?" She's like, "He comes home and he drops this, that, and the other by the door." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Have you ever thought of creating maybe a little system by the door? Maybe a little hook for his hat or a hook for his keys?" And she's like,
Yep.
"Huh." She said, "I never
Uh-huh.
thought about that." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Sometimes, and I said, a lot of times when people hire us, they just want to clean everything before we come."
Mhm.
And I said, sometimes we need to see how people are living so we can, like you said, create a system for them. Like I said, people come home, a lot of people now, they kick the shoes off by the door. I said, "So what's wrong with having a shoe rack by the door?" And people are like, "Really?" I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's where the thing." So, yeah, you're right. Creating systems about the way we live, but also communicating too. Because, like you
Mhm.
said, everybody, you may want to put it by the front door, but everybody's coming in through the garage. So that
Yeah.
may not work. So, how do you stay organized? With your life, with the
Mhm.
family, with the business, and, running and managing all those things. How do you do it?
That that could take a long time to answer. But I think like I said, I love people, so that's why I became an organizer, but also I'm generally just an organized kind of person. You know those people that are just pretty organized. Uh, but as far as my family goes, it's the same kind of situation. Like I said, there's a lot of communication. I learned, I can't even tell you, this was the most important thing I've learned, and I try to say it to everybody I can. After about 7 years of living with my husband, I realized he is not doing this, being messy, to make me mad. He doesn't think I'm his maid. He doesn't want to make me mad. That's just how he is. I don't know exactly why. Maybe he doesn't see it. Maybe he was raised differently. There's so many reasons, but it has nothing to do with me. And that helped me so much, just realizing that it's more important for us to all get along in my house than it is for the house to look a certain way. And so my idea of organized is I know where my things are, and the other people in my house pretty much know where their things are. I do a lot of tidying up after some messy members of my family, but I realize I'm doing that for me. They don't care. they could leave the things there forever. And if it's bothering me, I have to pick it up for me. So that's kind of a obtuse answer to your question.
But I
But
do.
me staying organized is pretty easy. Is it easy for you too?
Yeah, it's very easy for me. And when you were talking about your husband, it's interesting because my boyfriend, he is 6'2", so he's tall, but he did all the cooking at his house. So
Okay.
therefore, he figured, after we were talking, stood back. He's like, I can put hooks up there, and I can put all my cooking utensils. And I was like, look, this is your house, this is your kitchen. You do all the cooking. I'm fine with that. But it's interesting how you said what makes, it's not necessarily causing like any disagreement because somebody saw the picture and the first thing, like, well, gosh, they're kind of high and this, that, and the other. I'm like, but I'm not the cook in that kitchen, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter to me. So it's comfortable for him. So you're right. It's a lot of communication. It's a lot of understanding, and it's most of all making sure everybody in the house gets along. And I think that is a wonderful thing. Just to everybody to think of. It's about us getting along. It's not about you making sure that every little thing is in its place. Can we all
Mm-hmm.
live in harmony? I love
Mm-hmm.
that. I truly love that. So, how
Mm-hmm.
can listeners get in contact with you? Because I could talk to you all afternoon.
I know. I was just going to say we could just keep going. Well, the main way is I think the website. There's a blog on there where I write some things, and I try not to do the whole, the tips that you're going to read on every other website. I try to really get into some interpersonal issues and psychology and all that. I'm not a psychologist, but I've worked with people for 12 years now, and I know some things about getting along. So the blog, and then we have a newsletter on there, and then all the other social media channels we're on. But I think the best meat is on the blog and the newsletter.
And of course, listeners, I will have a direct link on the show page so you can reach out to her directly, read her blog, check out her website, and of course, connect with her on social media. Well, Nonnahs, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Janet. It's so fun talking to you. I love your podcast. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So, what strategy did you glean from that interview with Nonnahs in regards to just how to be more organized with some simple systems? So, I'm going to share some systems that everybody can use. Number one, a hook for the keys. You can use that right by the door or by the garage, or even for the younger members of the family, a hook could be in their room for their ID. A valet could be for the wallet, the watch, the ring, the change. Not too many people have change in their pocket, but if you want to do it, or you can just put your earrings in there. A pegboard. Pegboards are great for tools, whether they are tools for doing handy and odd jobs around the house, gardening tools, maybe you're a crafter. An organizer for the remotes is a great idea because then the remotes will be in one location, and they could either be a tie rack, a belt rack, but something just to keep those accessories organized. So those are my tips during Taylor's Tip Time. So, have you been working on getting organized and feel overwhelmed? Are you challenged by managing your time between work, home, and life? Do you want to organize your life? Well, let's talk so I can help you. I work with clients to guide them from start to finish by providing them with details needed to clear the clutter and get organized without feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Go to my contact page and schedule a free 15-minute session and take the steps necessary to create the life you want and start by doing something today. Again, click the link in the show page. Well, of course, I want to take a moment and just say thank you. Thank you for following me on social media and for your likes, your retweets, and your sharing. And please continue to follow me on social media, whether it's Twitter and Facebook and Instagram or even Pinterest. I've got some great boards. I've got the garage, the organized man. I got the closet. I've got Organize Your Life, you name it. And also make sure you check out my YouTube channel and, of course, my website as well. So, if you're thinking of getting your life organized, don't get overwhelmed. Join my Facebook group, Living Life Totally Organized. It's a community of women supporting each other on their journey to living life totally organized. It's free, so join today. And I recently put a poll out there. I love polls. I love responses, but I also love it when they say, Janet, I'm working on this. I plan to have this done by Saturday. I'm going to send you before and after photos. I love it. So check it out. It's free to join. So this Toss It Tuesday, I am going to suggest that you recycle the cords to items you no longer own. We've got the pods that, that no longer work, but sometimes we just toss it in a drawer. We've got cords that we do not use anymore. So, recycle the cords to items you no longer use. My app suggestion is Tile, T-I-L-E. If you often lose something, then this app is created for you. A nice bonus is that the app is free. The interface is designed logically and you can easily understand it. So check out Tile. My Amazon shop suggestion for this week is the men's valet tray. And it's a catch-all leather tray for men, but ladies, you could use it too. You could put your rings and your watch and your earring and whatever you want, just to kind of keep it all contained. And let's always check out my repurpose pages. I've got on Pinterest, I've got the garden, the office, and just repurpose in general. So check those out. And my book suggestion for this week is The Power of Habit. How many of you have benefited from just having a habit everything? You have a habit of, making sure you drink water. You have a habit of making sure maybe, once the mail comes in, you put it in a specific location. You have a habit of actually, once you finish reading the paper, you put it in a recycle. So the book is Power of Habit. And my quote for you this week is, a place for everything and everything in its place. Well, I definitely want to thank you for listening. Be sure to share this podcast with your family, your friends, and on your social media network. And again, let me know you enjoy listening to this podcast by leaving a review. And be sure to visit my website at www.janetmtaylor.com. Until next time, I want you to have a clutter-free day, but most of all, have an organized week. Organization is a quintessential element of a clutter-free life. Join me as we take this journey together. Along the way, we will find the necessary answers to your organizing dilemmas. My name is Janet M. Taylor, and you are listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized.